This is Part 2 Episode 134. After sustaining 4 magic bombardments, Hell's Descent only lost a bit of its power, and the instant it struck the seal, the whole mountain trembled, and distorted lights frantically bubbled forth. The seal completely unleashed its might. White halos condensed from all directions, wanting to stop Hell's Descent while attempting to dispel it. But the demon's portrait born from Hell's Descent became even more fierce this time, as it struggled to break out. One could see that at the time of its contact with the center of the seal, holes were gradually forming. But from the look of it, its breakthrough was only a matter of time. Right at this time, several dozen brilliant golden light beams were shot from the other side, aiming right at the holes pierced in Hell's Descent. At the sight of this scene, Lin Shin couldn't help but tremble slightly. Looking at the direction of the golden light, despite loathing Xianyuan Yang, he had no choice but to admit that he directed the light elemental magic squad under his command well. He had been enduring silently until then, waiting right for this chance. Light and darkness were originally opposite elements. If he had shifted the launch earlier, it would undoubtedly have ended the same as with the other mage squads, only neutralizing a part of the attack. But the instant Hell's Descent collided against the seal, the holes that were produced led to its core. Initiating an attack that would inflict unavoidable damage to the forbidden spell, and made full use of the light attribute countering it. This attack on its core reduced Hell's Descent's might to the greatest extent. As expected, under the attack from that golden light, one could see clearly that Hell's Descent shrank to a great extent, weakened globally by the 500 light mag's joint attacks. The staff on Xianyuan Yang's hand was pointed forward. Seeing the power of Hell's Descent being brought down, he couldn't help but loosen up. The attack was effective. The light mags on his back didn't need his order to expel their spiritual energy in full force, hoping to stop it outside the formation. Their attack looked like a great success, seeing Hell's Descent shrink at an astonishing speed, but the distant Hell Demon God Marbas had a strange smile on his face. If the joint attacks of 8 great demon gods could be stopped so easily, they wouldn't deserve that appellation. It looked like Hell's Descent's volume had shrunk due to the Holy Light's attack and the seal's blockade, as it shrank to 1/10 of its original volume. At that very moment, Xianyuan Yang couldn't help but deliberately glance at Lin Shin's direction. But right at this time, the surroundings suddenly calmed down, as if all sounds were instantly suppressed. Xianyuan Yang subconsciously turned his head back, finding out with alarm that the extremely shrunken Hell's Descent had come to a standstill and large black nets were extending all around it, spreading out at a frightening speed, as it extended all around the formation. The next instant, bang! A torrential explosion resounded with incomparable ferocity. The devil's portrait once again returned to its original size, instantly reducing to pieces the seal on the Tombao mountain pass. Xianyuan Yang and the 500 light mags on his back groaned at the same time, spitting out large amounts of blood. Hell's Descent had shrunk only to break out even more powerfully. This forbidden spell reached such a degree of terror that it already possessed its own intelligence. Xianyuan Yang's attack was actually still effective, as the Hell's Descent that had drastically enlarged was still quite smaller. But at this time, who could bear its offense? Having lost the defense of their seal, the Tombao mountain pass inhabitants all felt stuck in a quagmire, swept away at a frightening speed by the incoming darkness essence. At this time, a green wind broke out once again. Compared to the Wind Mag squad, this time its green color looked a lot more pure, swept from all directions to form a gigantic earth-shattering tornado. Shrouding the Hell's Descent, it entangled all around it, attempting to blow it to a high altitude and rely on the wind's force to consume its might. Engulfed by the tornado, Hell's Descent once again shrank, trying to lessen as far as possible its time of contact with the tornado. Looking as stable as a boulder, it remained motionless even under the offense of such a blowing tornado. The confrontation between the two sides was already at its climax, when the demons attacked suddenly. The Tombao mountain pass already had dispatched units to ask for their strongest magic regiments, as well as the higher-ups of the mage temple, but they needed time to prepare their spells. As long as the mags on the fortress could keep up for some time, the demon's surprise attack would end up without any achievement. 8 black glitters appeared suddenly, tracing long arcs. They belonged to the 8 demon god pillars, and rushed into the tornado at a frightening speed, striking Hell's Descent. With a mournful yell, Hell's Descent instantly split the tornado revolving around it, and kept advancing toward the Tombao fort. Even if the 8 demon gods stopped stepping in, the Storm Corps could actually only block the Hell's Descent only for a short time. But Marbas knew well that he couldn't let them keep dragging time out. If the mage regiments of the Mage Temple took advantage of the opportunity. Even if the attack from Hell's Descent finally manages to make it to the Tombao mountain pass, the destructive damage would still greatly lower. All the mags in the fortress had looks of shock. The whole fortress was covered in black drizzle. Everyone knew that the Tombao mountain pass walls would inevitably fall. And they would all become burial goods accompanying the mountain pass to its grave. From the launch of the forbidden spell to its arrival on the Tombao mountain pass, this slow-sounding process had actually lasted for only 10 or so minutes. Everyone was already fearing for their lives. A golden light suddenly flared up without omen, as if coming as suddenly as dawn. Upon meticulous observation, that golden light was actually multicolored, and under its golden brilliance, a figure had elevated itself onto the sky, floating in midair right outside the fortress, and standing in Hell's Descent's way. A golden Star of David was formed at his back, as he rode a starlight unicorn giving off a divine feel. Wearing a golden mask, and a golden armor, and letting out a light aura of extreme purity alongside his starlight unicorn, he brought the Tombao mountain pass not only light, but hope. The multicolored golden light surrounding his body was rising up, and golden halos rose up all around the starlight unicorn king, crossing paths with the multicolored light. The knight riding the starlight unicorn made a praying gesture, as a clear incantation came out from his mouth. The multicolored radiance on his back condensed into a huge illusory female shape, also sitting in a praying posture. All the mags in the Tombao mountain pass were stupefied at this instant. They could obviously recognize this golden armor to be a golden foundation knight's attire. However, the overwhelming majority of these people had no idea when a knight had come here, moreover helping them block this incomparably terrifying threat. Could a knight of the 8th step really resist a supra-forbidden spell born from the joint hands of 8 great demon gods, as well as all the hell demons? Even a divine knight would not necessarily manage to accomplish that. Right, Long Houchen was of course unable to accomplish such a feat even if he had already reached the 9th step. His full strength couldn't possibly stop such a forbidden spell's might. Even if this forbidden spell was already weakened by the mags. He wasn't trying to stop it, but to restrict it, using a kind of special spell similar to the star demon god Visago's great prophecy. The pure light essence didn't have the slightest chance of causing Hell's Descent to weaken any. But at least until his spiritual energy ends up nearly exhausted, this forbidden spell won't be able to keep moving forward in the slightest. Light prayers. This magic already exceeded the scope of the light element, and could be said to be a spell of sacred light, even if the expertise in using sacred light spells was of the priest temple, and not the knight's. This spell was also coming from the cave. In there, Long Houchen learnt mostly guardian knight abilities, while light prayers was carved in its greatest depths. This magic of sacred light was very hard to categorize. Depending on the enemy one faced, its uses would actually differ greatly. It was used as a prayer for safety. The ancestor that left the spell in the Night Temple explained it this way: light prayers is the god's will, as well as the god's forbidden fruit. A human's force could never possibly truly control this ability, but at some cost, it can be used to earn time. Conduct prayers with one's most sincere attitude, and with one's purest heart would make light prayers the most powerful. This magic of sacred light originated from high-level fairies, therefore even the priest temple was unable to use it. After countless thousands of years passed, this miraculous sacred light magic finally reappeared, launched from Long Houchen's hand. Since the instant Hell's Descent appeared, Long Houchen's great mental force gave him a great feeling of unease. In the meantime, he'd been reciting light prayers chant in his mind. This was an instinctual, instant decision. Long Houchen did not hesitate to follow his feeling and therefore immediately asked for Han Yu's aid as he chanted this spell. As a matter of fact, his choice was accurate. No one else besides him was more of a fit to use this sacred light magic. Compared to his use of sacred light rain, Long Houchen had a much lower consumption. In fact, the whole sacred spell could be described as the establishment of the flow of a canal. It could be maintained as long as the incantation was completed. Han Yu's spiritual energy was fully poured inside Long Houchen, and his spiritual stove of light blessing gave him a formidable recovery alongside the support of the golden foundation armor. At the time Long Houchen had completed this spell, a good part of his spiritual energy was left. Right, who else other than the Sign of Light was more qualified to put to use a sacred light magic? Light prayers was activated through the divine snail shield of sun and moon, which is why that multicolored golden light came to view. Long Houchen could deeply feel the might Hell's Descent had as a super-forbidden spell, and understood that with his own strength, even the full use of light prayers had no way to stop it, which is why he borrowed the Divine Snail Shield's force. Through its last activation as a divine tool, Long Houchen felt that his level of accord with the Divine Snail Shield had grown even higher, which enabled him to grasp some of the secret in the activation of its power as a divine tool. With his current cultivation, a forbidden spell-leveled stimulation was necessary to trigger the Divine Snail Shield's force. And as a matter of fact, he succeeded once again. Light prayers sealed Hell's descent just like that. A tiny golden light was locking that terrifying darkness in midair. Xianyuan Yang became blank, and Tan Wan too. They obviously were aware of the identity of the one who stopped the demon's attack. A little earlier, they had told him to scram from the fortress. A little earlier, Tan Wan even issued a challenge against him. At that very moment, Tan Wan's emotions became indescribable, but mostly full of shock. Close to 3,000 mags didn't manage to stop this terrifying forbidden spell, yet that person managed it all alone. Tan Wan believed that Long Houchen surely was using cheap tricks, and that the situation won't last long. But the courage to stand in front of such a supra-forbidden spell was already something no ordinary person could show. Feelings of shame appeared in both Tan Wan and Xianyuan Yang. They were trying to put themselves in his stead. Did I really dare challenge such a person? Tan Wan's shock was the greatest, because she had personally seen the appearance of this Golden Foundation Knight, the extreme youth of this provisional Saint Knight head of the Knight Temple. Tan Wan remembered firmly the time she rushed to her teacher to ask him, is he really as young as he looks? Li Jingji only looked down in acknowledgement, shocking Tan Wan to no limits at that time. A knight looking even younger than herself has actually already reached the 8th step. And he's the captain of Lin Xin's Demon Hunt Squad, and moreover, the provisional Saint Knight head of the Knight Temple. Could there really be such a large gap separating him and herself? Now, Long Houchen was using his own strength to prove to Tan Wan the gap between the two of them. Keep launching attacks, what are you all waiting for? Lin Xin's voice was amplified by his spiritual energy, encompassing the whole Tombao mountain pass. The mags awakened from his call, and resonating chants were performed all across the fortress. Two figures simultaneously flew above the Tombao mountain pass, heading straight to Long Houchen's side. They stopped to Houchen's left and right. It was a strange thing that due to light prayer's confinement, even the aura of Hell's descent was suppressed, liberating all the mags on the fortress from its influence. The fire crystal staff was pointed forward, and an immense bursting fireball bombarded the Hell's descent straight on. Lin Xin remembered firmly that Long Houchen had told him one thing at the time, before he elevated himself high to resist the forbidden spell attack. With the tacit understanding between Lin Xin and Long Houchen, Lin Xin immediately understood his intention at the time he confined the enemy's attack. Long Houchen could only resist and not annihilate the attack. But he could gain some time for the Tombao mountain pass, within which they would have to do their utmost to weaken or extinguish Hell's descent's power. Right after the first blue-colored bursting fireball was fired, a second one appeared in Lin Xin's hands. The instant cast of the offensive spell of the 5th step bursting fireball could be due to storage in a magic tool, but how about the second and third one? This instant, the fire crystal staff in Lin Xin's hand entered a quick-fire mode, shooting immense deep blue-colored fireballs one after another toward Hell's descent. Each fireball that landed produced a huge explosion and carried blue flames along. Although the results weren't distinct, any sighted person could tell that Lin Xin's series of attacks produced some sunken areas in the places that were hit. In other words, his attacks were effective, but don't forget that is only one person attacking by himself. The destructive power of the Heart of Fire's flames could thereby be seen. The instant Lin Xin was done firing his 18th bursting fireball, an immense blue skull appeared above his fire crystal staff, forming his 19th successive attack. After just a split second of adjustment, dragon-shaped blue flames spread from Lin Xin's back. This was the piece of legendary equipment called Fire Dragon's Wings. Increasing spiritual gathering and speed by 100%, it carried the additional ability Fire Dragon's Defense. The current Lin Xin did not need it for defense, but for an acceleration of his spiritual energy gathering. As the Fire Curse technique was executed, he unfolded the Fire Dragon's wings, and once again shot bursting fireballs, another series of 18 of them. From the start of his act to the termination of his 36th bursting fireball, a total of less than a minute had passed. At this very moment, Lin Xin was making a display far above his own level. This offensive power and offensive speed would not necessarily be matched by a mage of the 8th step. And moreover, this was without counting the power of Heart of Fire. Most of all his rupturing fireballs were all bombarding the same area. At the end of his 36 bursting fireballs, a resonant phoenix cry was heard above Lin Xin, and a massive blue fire phoenix soared up, clashing straight against that devil's portrait with its brilliant blue fire. That violent bombardment produced a series of violent waves against the devil portrait. Only then did Lin Xin's series of attacks terminate. The most magnificent spells aren't necessarily the most effective, but the focus of Lin Xin's attacks clearly gave the ideal efficiency. Afar, the hell demon god Marbas was standing dumbstruck, not daring to believe in his eyes. The instant Light Prayers was launched, he found out that the connection binding hell's descent to him was severed. Even for someone at the same level of cultivation as him, facing this powerful supra-forbidden spell was comparable to meeting with a full-force attack of the demon god Emperor. He couldn't believe that the Mage Temple actually had the ability to seal this supra-forbidden spell in such a short time. He also knew that this seal couldn't possibly last for too long, but the Mage Temple's mags were extremely fast to react, attacking it with full force. In such a situation, after the seal ends, one could hardly say how much offensive power Hell's Descent would still hold. As the fifth demon god in the ranking, one of the top 5 demon gods in existence, Marbas naturally had quick wits as well. Waving his right hand toward the Tombao mountain pass, he made a low and vigorous shout, "Attack!" The hell demons were the core of the demon armies standing outside, but not the absolute majority of their forces. Following Marbas' order, the demon armies immediately charged towards the Tombao mountain pass in large tides. The power of Hell's Descent was warded off, but the mags present in the Tombao mountain pass were all occupied. In the meantime, Long Houchen found himself close to his limits. Although Light Prayers was mostly borrowing divine force to perform the seal, it also required a massive amount of spiritual energy to be maintained. Long Houchen could amplify its efficiency through the divine snail shield, but the consumption speed of his spiritual energy was still massive. Right now, the multicolored golden light coming out from him clearly assumed an unstable stance, and could already collapse at any time. Kia was holding the scythe of the god of death in her 2 hands, unconsciously gripping it tightly. In case Long Houchen's Light Prayers terminates, they will be the ones bearing the brunt and become the targets of this forbidden spell. Kia knew that at that time she would have to fight to earn Long Houchen some time, to allow him to have the time to transport Lin Xin and himself to the Tower of Eternity. Right in this crucial juncture, 6 light balls were suddenly shot out from the Tombao mountain pass. At the current time, the situation inside those 6 light balls was clearly visible. Each one contained 6 mags, making a total of 36 people. Each ball was under the lead of a mage. This was a powerful seal that they joined hands to unleash. If the Hell's Descent forbidden spell was at its peak, they may not necessarily have managed to seal it, but after the last series of depletions, these 6 mage deities of the 9th step and 30 saint magic tutors of the 8th step joined hands to temporarily seal the forbidden spell. In the meantime, an immense green radiance soared from inside the Tombao mountain pass, reaching a high altitude before slowly falling. Seeing the green figure extending over more than 100 meters, the weakened Long Houchen was in great shock. That green figure looked human-shaped, and was actually an enlarged version of the head of the Mage Temple, Wind Elemental Mage Li Jingji. Right now, Li Jingji looked extremely imposing despite his short and stout build. Clad in green armor, his hands were holding a huge war blade. Green light curled over his whole body, and bursting gales kept rising around his body. At every attack, the green light coming out from his body also gained in intensity. Actually, Li Jingji reached the area far before Long Houchen's performance. Even at his level of cultivation, the supra-forbidden spell Hell's Descent was an extremely thorny issue. After arriving, he still needed time. It was obviously impossible for him to fully use his most powerful ability instantly. Right as he was prepared to come up, Long Houchen had made this sudden display in the battlefield, sealing Hell's Descent. Although this wasn't sufficient to totally turn the situation around, it was exactly what Li Jingji needed, giving him just enough time. Seeing Long Houchen close to his limits, the finally prepared Li Jingji made his move alongside the mage regiment. The huge green figure drifted nimbly, arriving ahead of the multi-elemental seal. Hacking the long blade, it immediately struck at the terrifying Black God's Descent forbidden spell. A bizarre scene followed. One could see that the instant the blade was chopped, all the wind in the sky had disappeared. The next instant, part of Hell's Descent was cut into thin pieces of pitch-black spiritual energy. Even more miraculously, the black Hell's Descent was enveloped in a greenish-blue splendor. Li Jingji was using the incarnation of the wind god to shoot these black rays back to the distant demons, right at the demon army's vanguard. Almost as soon as he appeared, the whole situation was turned around, turning defeat into victory. He even used the supra-forbidden spell Hell's Descent to his advantage, truly deserving the appellation of number 1 powerhouse among the 6 great temples. The magic tutor regiments were not only composed of those 36. Several dozen more people landed onto the fortress one after another, as the mage squads rested, reorganized, and recovered spiritual energy for the sake of being ready to continue the battle at any time. At this point, the demon surprise attack was already neutralized, and Li Jingji's series of attacks already got rid of close to 10,000 demons. The hell demon god Marbas finally couldn't bear anymore and made his move. Despite their enormous previous losses, he couldn't keep looking on helplessly as Li Jingji was slaughtering his subordinates. The figures of the 8 demon gods flickered, rising in altitude, and they put their full strength into stopping the pieces of Hell's Descent spiritual energy thrown by Li Jingji. For a moment, the fluctuations of spiritual energy in the sky expanded greatly, splattering across in many colors. Li Jingji had turned into a wind god, facing off the 8 enemies by himself, and without being at a disadvantage at all. Although this was related the 8 great demon gods' weakened state, accomplishing this much showed the strength of this wind user. Long Houchen's group was back at the Tombao mountain pass. While recovering spiritual energy, Long Houchen's look never separated from Li Jingji. Being able to witness the fight of a powerhouse of this level was really a great assistance to him. And by relying on his powerful mental force and great perception focused upon the waves of spiritual energy, Long Houchen gradually understood Li Jingji's true battle methods. This actually should be a magic using Li Jingji's body as its core. Being a god's chosen one, Long Houchen could feel that Li Jingji's spell was really borrowing power from the wind god. Only, Long Houchen's reliance on the power of the goddess of light was thanks to his identity as a god's chosen one, but Li Jingji's reliance on the power of the wind god was thanks to his great strength and affinity to the wind element. Long Houchen made the conservative estimate that Li Jingji's internal spiritual energy was over 300,000, and he should have at least one divine tool in his hand. The battle didn't last for much longer. The demon gods were all selfish beings, and perceiving Li Jingji's great power, Marbas was unwilling to have a fight to the death against him. While the 8 great demon gods were holding back Li Jingji's attacks, the order of retreat was already transmitted. This rapid retreat immediately caused their morale to plummet. The supra-forbidden spell Hell's Descent continued to gradually decline due to being cut unceasingly by Li Jingji, thereby decreasing the force going against the seal. Finally, Hell's Descent went to smoke as it was squeezed inside the 6-colored formation. That signaled the termination of this battle of attack and defense. At the time of Long Houchen's departure, the wind god in the sky turned round slowly, giving a glance toward their departing figures, a thin smile forming on the corners of his mouth. 3 days later. Shina, just come with us. Take it as a plea from me, okay? Must I leave you here? Lin Xin was as anxious as an agitated cat, spinning around Li Xin in the room. Li Xin gave him a funny look. Will you ever fix that lack of resolution? Her words were formulated that way, but her expression was full of warmth. We are all demon hunters. Just like you have your team, I also have my own. How could I abandon my teammates? Moreover, my strength is already unable to keep up with Houchen and you. By coming along, I can only become a burden for you. I have already discussed with Luke Shi, and we chose to remain in the Tombao mountain pass for now. This place is by far safe enough. You are a man, and a part of the 64th Commander Grade Demon Hunt Squad. We still have a long time before us. Or do you really want to stay behind for my sake? We are demon hunters, and since the day we took this path, our lives are already not only our own. Could it be that you really don't understand that? Lin Xin became silent. He had already been trying to convince Li Xin for close to 1 hour. After that battle from 3 days ago, the Tombao Mountain Pass situation was quite stable, and the demons had almost no possibility of breaking through this fort. In addition to that, due to the relationship between the Mage Temple and the Night Temple, Long Houchen and his comrades decided to keep heading southwards to assemble with their other comrades. Lin Xin naturally found things difficult to manage in this situation. As Li Xin's and his emotions had escalated, how could he be willing to part with her? Although he knew that Li Xin was right, he still found it hard to accept deep inside. Li Xin stood up and came in front of Lin Xin, leaning towards him and drawing close to his waist. Idiot, I should be the one worrying. Because you will keep becoming stronger and stronger, you will also be facing more and more challenging missions. Promise me to live well. Haven't you been always wanting to do it? Today, I can give myself to you, hoping that you can gain more responsibility and defend yourself with good care. No matter how long it takes, I will be waiting for you. Hearing Lin Xin couldn't help but tremble profusely. If these were ordinary times, he would definitely be carried away by the excitement. But as they were on the verge of separating, how could he get up happily? No, Shina. I want to marry you formally. I cannot let you feel wronged, especially at such a time. I love you, Shina, and really can't bear to leave you. Lin Xin embraced Li Xin tightly, feeling her form and warmth, and becoming unable to hold his tears. If one person within the 64th Commander Grade Demon Hunt Squad had to be picked as the weakest emotionally, that would be him. Li Xin suddenly struggled free of Lin Xin, and declared very fiercely, "What do you mean, you can't let me feel wronged? I should be the one who shouldn't let you feel wronged. Do you think nothing will happen just because you said no? You're a mage, and this lady is a knight. If you have a problem, use your magic to stop me." Under Lin Xin's stupefied look, his body was pulled toward the bed by Li Xin. This was a battle between a knight of the 6th step and a mage of the 7th step. At such a close distance, and in a small room, one can well imagine who won the fight. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.